If you were forced to go live in an all-girls boarding school, what would you do? You'll be put in schoolgirl prison for being naughty and will have to arm wrestle sexy prison guards, take beatings, and pretend to like it. And try to prove your innocence against the entire other gender in order to not get expelled. I'm going to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat the psychotic girls in prison school. These kids are going to do anything to see some boobies! This top all-girls boarding school has just allowed boys to enroll here for the first time. But only these four have shown up. Sitting down at lunch, they try to prepare for the most terrifying task of all, talking to girls. Gakuto tells Kyoshi not to risk it, but he goes up to this one girl and fails miserably, coming back defeated. But they don't realize the girls have been told to not talk to them for another terrifying reason. Later in class, Kyoshi drops his sumo wrestler eraser, but spots this girl, Chiyo, looking at it, asking him if he likes sumo wrestling. He says he loves it. He ends up talking to Chiyo after class, copying what he heard about sumo wrestling from his stepmother, lying through his teeth to connect with her. She then asks him to go to a sumo tournament coming up. Kyoshi agrees, saying he wouldn't miss it if his mother was dying in a hospital. But later, he gets told from his friends that he's about to be involved in a special operation tonight, peeping on the girls in the bathroom. Getting peer pressured, Kyoshi suits up for the mission. Gakuto tells him they figured out which class has the cutest girls and will hit up that bathroom. But Kyoshi finds out it's Chiyo's class. Trying to stop them, they don't listen and try to figure out how to sneak into the bathroom from here. Gakuto then reveals he has all of their phones dangling this one smartphone from the rope to see. Just as they spot Chiyo passing by, not wanting his friends to see her naked, he wrestles the phone from them but ends up dropping the phone. Annoyed, Gakuto tells Kyoshi that it was actually his phone they used. Not wanting to get discovered, Kyoshi is forced to go in and get it himself, but gets caught by Chiyo staring right at him. She thinks he is her friend, Miyumi, making Kyoshi realize she can't see without her contacts. She's nearsighted, oh thank God. Taking off her clothes, she tells him to hurry up and get naked. So he takes off his clothes, waiting for her to go in before escaping, but gets dragged in while his friends freak out. Entering heavens while his friends call him a warrior. His friends wait on the roof and prepare to head down to join him, but as they spot crows in the sky, and suddenly they attack and overpower them, while these two girls show up, members of the student council. Back inside, Chiyo thinks Kyoshi is her friend and voices her complaints about the no talking to boys rule and the scary student council, just as the real Miyumi shows up, making Chiyo wonder who the hell she is talking to. Okay, their plan is dumb as hell and way too short notice. They didn't even consider how tight security was, even a little bit, despite them dressing up like ninjas, especially since this is an all-girls boarding school and they are the only boys, and horny boys at that. Showing up here would no doubt means that the school is going to be keeping a close eye on them. As Kyoshi, we're in the shit right now, but it's clear that Chiyo here is incredibly farsighted, meaning she can only see things from a certain distance, clearly, but up close she's as blind as a bat, which we can use. Based on where we were, I would have played along and taken off my clothes, hear me out, and also grabbing this basket of clothes in front of us. Then I would pretend to go in with Chiyo before throwing the basket into another direction to create chaos. Since she can't see properly, she's practically blind up close, confusing her. This would have let her slip out of the window, she would have been confused, and in a towel means she wouldn't have been as mobile or quick to react, making it less likely that she would have been able to catch us even a little bit, and increasing our chances of getting away. While this reaction, while super loud and over the top, yes, I know it is, it would have been the easiest option overall. In fact, being naked running back would have been a better option than dressing up as a freaking ninja suit, because that move was stupid. Even if we escaped, we still have to worry if people saw us, even near our rooms, since we looked suspicious as hell. And also, there should have been a plan B in case shit hit the fan, like separating in case one of us was at risk of getting caught, because trying to honor our friends and waiting for them to link back up with us is stupid and would have only slowed us down. There's no honor among thieves, so don't even bother. Kyoshi is about to be discovered when news gets out that the boy's been caught peeping by the student council. Everyone rushes outside, allowing Kyoshi to hide in the bathtub. Outside, the girls tie the boys up. The student council asks where the final boy is, but they say it's just them. Kyoshi then shows up and watches from a distance. However, this smiling woman surprises him from behind and happily hands him the student council guidebook, showing all the members. She tells Kyoshi that the club cracks down on sexual activities, showing the president of the student council is her, getting beaten and dragged out to meet his friends right in front of his crush, Chiyo. Everyone gets sentenced to 1 month in the school's maximum prison, and they get warned if they do anything foolish with their sentence, it will get extended by months, or they will be expelled. Shingo threatens to tell their parents about this, but the student council reminds him that this means they'll have to admit their filthy crime to them too. Paranoid, the boys agree to cooperate and will take all their classes online from now on, beating them up to show dominance. Andre here gets ordered to lick their superior's boot, but Kyoshi stops her, saving his friends from humiliation. But after him, the boys get mad at him for stopping them from tasting her boots, and Andre adds that her spit tasted amazing. Over the next few days, Kyoshi refuses to be taken advantage of, but his simp friends apologize to the student council members for him. Watching over them, the president realizes their plans have backfired because the boys are enjoying this way too much, and sends in Secretary Hana to oversee them as well, cause she is psycho. The next day, the boys get put to work in the garden and to find out just how crazy and dangerous this woman is. And since her private parts are completely covered by her leggings, and this means getting beaten up from her brings Kyoshi's friends no joy, becoming miserable instead. Meanwhile, Kyoshi spots this baby crow, returning him to the tree, and he spots Chiyo in the window. Kyoshi is about to apologize for the bathroom incident, but Chiyo already thinks he wasn't peeping, so he just lets her believe that big fat lie instead. She thinks no one that likes sumo wrestling and baby birds could be creepy, and tells him how excited she is for the sumo tournament, making him confirm that he will find some way to go with her, just as Hana passes by under, sending Chiyo off. But she can't hold it in no longer and pisses right below him. Freaking out, Kyoshi tries to be quiet, but the mama bird suddenly attacks him and sends him falling down right on top of Hana. Horrified, she thinks he's peeping on her and teaches him a lesson. His friends call him a stud for his creepiness tactics, just as the president of the student council shows up and tells the boys they can get 3 hours of free time on the weekend if they behave, making Kyoshi think he might have a shot to meet Chiyo soon. But 5 minutes later, they all get caught slacking off, and instantly their weekend passes get revoked, making Kyoshi realize he'll need to break out to meet Chiyo himself. The next day, he starts planning his escape, digging a tunnel behind this shed, hoping to dig through it by the time of his date. Chiyo also slips him a secret note, confirming the sumo date is on. He scrunches it up and throws it away, but moments later spots Gakuto hovering near him and acting weird, revealing to him that he's just found Chiyo's note. Kyoshi starts to wonder if Gakuto will rat him out. Hana then wants payback from Kyoshi after what he did and asks him to pee in front of her or she'll kill him, watching his worm like a hawk. But Gakuto comes asking for help, sending Hana away for now, revealing that he knows about his plan and will actually help him if he goes to also get a limited edition figurine at a festival happening during the same day as his Chiyo date, convincing him to team up. Back in the school office, the president's chairman's father leaves to go home, but drops his secret stash of nudie pics in front of his daughter, pissing her off and thinks all men are disgusting, as she decides to go harder on the boys. Later, Gakuto and Kyoshi begin their plan, getting Hana to break up their pretend fight and accidentally break the roof of the shed, getting ordered to fix it, but she ends up watching over them, throwing the boys off, and they wonder what to do, since now they won't be able to work on the escape hole. Hana asks Kyoshi to keep his mouth shut about what they discussed, and force feeds him tea, making him need to head to the bathroom. She excitedly follows him to the stall, trying to get payback and see his wiener, but ends up hitting the right spot, making him piss instantly on command, covering her in asparagus, smelling H2O. She screams in horror, despite her being more hydrated than ever before, alerting the VP to her, while Kyoshi sneaks out the back. Embarrassed, Hana says that she had an accident and takes the rest of the day off, making Gakuto wonder what Kyoshi did to chase her away, now allowing them to work on their escape plan in peace. Doing some more digging, they finally break through to the other side. Kyoshi attempts to practice his escape plan, but spots the school chairman walking nearby to bury his vintage spank bank collection, so he finally stops feeling guilty about his habit, while Kyoshi just watches. That night, they get told their work schedule for the next month has been changed, including the day of their escape plan. A track regional meet will be held that day, and they will be assigned to help for that, throwing off their initial plans. Kyoshi, Gakuto, and Shingo get tasked with watching the athletes' belongings, while the other two will be doing random jobs. Gakuto wonders how Kyoshi and him will shake off Shingo that day, cause he can't know what they're up to, not realizing he just overheard them. Whoops. And later spots them doing sus behavior in the shower, not realizing it's actually harmless. He now thinks they're lovers, but in the moment these two think Shingo has caught them talking about the plan and try to play it cool, but it only makes it really weird, causing him to later ask to switch jobs for the coming Saturday, leaving Kyoshi and Gakuto alone to finalize the plan and think their good luck lately is all due to fate. Kyoshi test runs his entire escape plan, stinking from the bathroom to the underground draining shaft leading into the escape hole. Testing out the route, he passes the VP giving shit to the others, but her heels get stuck in the drain, accidentally stabbing Kyoshi's butt. At the end of the workday, the VP asks Kyoshi why was he in the bathroom so long, but he says he has a delicate stomach. However, Shingo says he's bleeding but says it must be because of hemorrhoids, making the others think Kyoshi must be a catcher too. The VP mentions tomorrow they'll be having one IT class with the girls, so they should behave themselves or else. Later, the school orders on any school materials they need. Gakuto asks for a voice recorder to practice his English. Using it the next day, Gakuto gives Kyoshi the horrifying plan. He will download pooping sounds from the internet for Kyoshi to remote play them in the bathroom while he sneaks off on Saturday, and this will keep people away from his stall, but soon discover they can't find any poop sounds online. So Gakuto lets one of the biggest ones ever of his life rip right into the recorder, shitting his pants too, ruining his high school reputation forever. But he does collect the most valuable noise in existence, completing their plan. The VP scolds them for this after, calling Gakuto's hole loose, but the others secretly think it's Kyoshi's fault, if you know what I mean. Meanwhile, outside, the chairman has dug out his magazine collection again. But now it's done for good, and tries to get rid of it for the second time, this time pouring cement on the hole, but also spots Kyoshi's hole in the wall. Not realizing what it is, he decides to fill it up on his way back. Back inside, Gakuto gives Kyoshi the final game plan: to enter the drainage shaft behind the bathroom, crawl to the trash site, and slip out, but be back within 3 hours, using the poop recorder to keep people from entering the bathroom. Doing a final check, they suddenly discover someone has filled their escape hole. Since they aren't in trouble, they don't think the council knows about it, and begin to fight. Shingo tells them to stop relationship fighting, pissing Kyoshi off even more, and they wonder what they're gonna do. The next day, Kyoshi comes up with a new plan, and reveals he will sneak out of the school dressed as the opposite sex instead, stealing a schoolgirl uniform when the laundry service arrives to collect. Since the uniform owners won't need them till Monday, giving Gakuto an extra idea to add on. During the next meetup with their prison guards, Gakuto jumps the student council president and gets serious trouble, confusing Kyoshi what's he up to. But after, goes to apologize to the VP, and she ends up shaving his head to shame him. Coming back later with all his hair still with him, he tells Kyoshi this will now serve as his wig, also sneaking to get a girl's uniform, and they prepare for the main event. The next day, the regional track meet shows up, while Kyoshi waits till 12 p.m. before sneaking off as planned, putting the poop sneaker in the bathroom, and rushes to put on the girl's wig and uniform, but accidentally rips his small jacket. Nearby, VP spots some fallen hair on the floor and approaches it right where Kyoshi is changing to look around. Quickly playing it cool, he barely avoids getting caught and rushes for the exit, until he is grabbed by the student council president. Okay, so now Gakuto is a martyr for all of us, but he could have gotten the poop sound way easier, obviously by going to a poop thread on Reddit to download Michael Bay quality level Transformer poop sounds like a great idea, or maybe at least by seeing other people's poop sounds, like according to the comments and making it myself, using some of Reddit's distinguished writers to help us out. Look, at this current point, Kyoshi knew the plan, yet still didn't do enough risk assessment of the most vulnerable points of the plan, which would have been the entrance and exit of the underground shaft and the gate of the school. The entrance and the exit of the tunnel would be vulnerable because getting caught or coming or going from either of these 2 points would have gotten us in trouble instantly. The plan didn't account for where the student council members would have been during this time, which would have been impossible for us to know anyways, which is why I would have been way more cautious when passing through the 2 vulnerable points, like checking before exiting the tunnel, using the countless holes here to accurately assess if anyone was nearby, and looking both ways and holding our head on a swivel for a few seconds before exiting the tunnel even a little, and maybe even bring a selfie stick along with a mirror attached, and used that to check our surroundings before we even got out. Now, moving on to the second most vulnerable point, the front gates. We know the girls already think we look like them based on how chill they were with us in their showers earlier. This means I would have tried to leave the front by hiding in plain sight even more, by losing myself in the crowd of another group of people headed on the way out at the same time as us. It would have looked way less suspicious by joining a group on the way out, since no student council member would have been able to think that we could hang with the girls in plain sight without getting discovered, and that's why this plan would have worked. However, seeing the ripped jacket, the president feels bad for this student and lets Kyoshi go undiscovered, finally making it to a sumo date with Chio. They even take a selfie, and she sends it off to someone. Now having the time of his life, he leaves to use the bathroom. Chio then drops a drink on Kyoshi's bag, cleaning it up. She discovers his girl uniform inside, but discovers this uniform belongs to her. Kyoshi arrives back, but Chio then leaves disgusted as he finds out what she knows. Back in school, the VP finds out about Kyoshi being in the bathroom so long and starts to get suspicious. Gakuto secretly presses the remote control to the speaker, playing nasty poop sounds, buying Kyoshi some time. A little later, the VP gets impatient and comes back a second time before Gakuto can stop her, finally busting down the door, and she sees Kyoshi sitting there crying and leaves. Gakuto finds out that he got his figures, but lost Chio. Job well done. They head back to their duties, but are immediately stopped by the student council, finding out that Chio sent the president a selfie of her and Kyoshi from the sumo event because she's the president's little sister and the chairman's youngest daughter, as them and even Kyoshi and Gakuto's friends connect all the dots. But Kyoshi takes the blame for everything, getting expelled and placed in solitary confinement till they arrange the papers. However, the VP tells her that they don't have the authority to expel them without getting permission from the chairman, her father, pissing her off, and she starts coming up with a new plan. A little later, Kyoshi is forced to go see the student council, but gets asked to voluntarily drop out by signing this paper, but that's when Chio busts in. Hearing the school rumors, she says she's here to save him, and confesses she didn't consider why he had her uniform in the first place. Kyoshi reveals he didn't know it was hers, and was just trying to find a way to meet her. Convinced he's not a pervert, she announces if Kyoshi drops out, so will she, hugging him with her chest. The touch of a woman breathes fire into Kyoshi's spirit, and he now refuses to sign, pissing everyone off. Not realizing the president now plans to make all of them drop out another way instead. A few days pass and Kyoshi's friends start shutting him out and peer pressure Gakuto to follow their lead. Shingo then gets called into the corrections office to meet with the VP, and she bribes him to be her snitch against the others from now on. Feeling betrayed by his friends, he gladly accepts. The group's punishment starts getting tougher and tougher, except for Andre, as the women starve him from getting attention. They quickly break the gang's mental state. That night after dinner, the boys play outside. Kyoshi, still outcasted, sits far away and decides to take a nap, but spots Shingo with the VP and the talking. It's weird. He notices the rest of the student council come to sit outside too, something they never do. Shingo and the VP then leave and calls out to Joe to come talk to him for a sec, leaving his ant farm unguarded. While Kyoshi watches all of this, suddenly crows start attacking Joe's ant farm and he rushes back to save them, but the VP comes in to stop him, warning him the crows belong to the president. While the school overhears the commotion in the yard, after Joe loses it and tries to stab the president, but Kyoshi comes in to take the hit, getting railed in the butt. He covers for Joe and says he accidentally slipped onto this branch, saving Joe's fate, but Hana then offers to take him to the nurse's office, making him nervous. Getting there, they discover no one is around, so Hana forces him to pay her back by letting her pee on him, just as Chio comes in looking for Kyoshi. Worried how it might look, these two both decide to hide under the bed, but Kyoshi gets a little too excited, scaring Hana. After Chio leaves, Kyoshi apologizes to Hana about what just happened, but she now has memory loss on the last 5 minutes. A little later, Joe and Kyoshi return to the prison. Shingo tries to be a dick to Kyoshi as usual, but this time Joe defends him and thanks him. All friends again, Kyoshi confides to Gakuto that something strange happened in the yard today, but he doesn't know what. Shingo again gets called to meet with the VP again and gets told, due to his snitch privileges, he has permission to leave the campus for 3 hours, putting on a school uniform, and can get more if he keeps this up. Sometime later, Gakuto heads to the bathroom to play with his figurines, but feels guilty for being a bad friend. He accidentally drops his toy sword behind the toilet. Meanwhile, outside, Shingo, returning from his errands for the VP, runs into a girl from his school on the way back and agrees to play games together at some point. Reaching school, he heads to the bathroom, but spots a toy sword on the floor. Reporting back to the VP for any more updates, he shows it to her, but she throws it back in disgust and calls his information useless, not noticing it fall into some food she's making. The VP then brings out snacks for the student council meeting, unaware that the president ends up chewing the toy sword by accident. Not realizing where it came from, the VP keeps her mouth shut about what it is and ends up going to the bathroom herself to look for more clues. She later confronts the boys that she discovered this toy and knows it's Gakuto's, tracing its limited edition serial number. She knows it could have only been bought during the day of the regional track meet. She tries to get Gakuto to confess he helped Kyoshi leave school, but he denies it and even smashes the toy right in front of them, confessing to Kyoshi. After that, he realized he values their friendship more than his toys. Shingo later comes back from another outing bonding with his school friend when he spots the toy sword accidentally exposing the VP to the president that she helped him. Kyoshi's squad then heads back to prison, but Gakuto ends up telling the rest of the boys and the full story. Shingo tries to start shit again, but Andre and Joe decide to all go back to being friends again 1000%, now leaving Shingo as the odd one out. Meanwhile, the VP gets punished by the president for lying to her and gets forced to wear a super tight uniform around school. She happens to pass out in front of Chio one time, so she helps her into the student council office. There she discovers this pamphlet of theirs containing the secret plans to kick the boys out and realizes they're evil. The president then informs her VP that Andre not getting hit this whole time means that he's now near his breaking point and they're ready to implement their final phase of kicking the boys out tomorrow, unaware that Chio is listening in outside. The next day, Kyoshi and Gakuto discuss things have been getting weird. Andre never gets punishment anymore and is losing it, while Shingo has been meeting the VP way too much, as Shingo gets called to meet the VP again for another outside trip, but he must be back by 6:30 tonight or else, and he heads out to secretly meet his crush, or so he thinks. The rest of the boys continue walking through the schoolyard, just as Kyoshi notices Chio arrange a secret note on this board game, but can't make out what it says. Writing it down for Gakuto. Back inside, they discover the council is planning to kick them out. Realizing what's really going on, they rush to find Andre, since they think the student council is going to target him. Meanwhile, inside his cell, Andre starts hearing voices, the VP's voice, chasing it. He finds this cardboard cutout of her and discovers his diary in this room and this back door, just like in his dream. According to his recent dreams, if he walks out of this room, the VP will be there to give a spanking. Desperate for female attention and with his dream now coming true, he walks through the door, discovering the VP in the distance. Shocked and hungry, he rushes like a rabid dog to get her, getting stopped by this perimeter fence, just as Kyoshi and Gakuto reach him and tell him it's a trap. He doesn't listen and breaks through the fence, trespassing prison grounds. The VP tells him he's been caught trying to escape. The student council tells the boys once Shingo returns, it'll all be over. Back outside, Shingo enjoys his outing and gets closer to this girl, going to watch a movie. After he says he needs to head back, but she begs him to join her in the park. There he spots some kid playing and realizes he's been acting like a bad friend, making him confess to his crush that he betrayed his friends to be free. Feeling bad, she also confesses that she works for the student council and has been ordered to keep him here past 6:30, so he'll get expelled, and secretly tweaked his watch earlier in the theater, meaning he has less than 5 minutes left to get back. Rushing like the wind, but he bumps into the laundry guy from earlier. Feeling bad for hitting him, he offers him a ride back, getting back just before the time limit, but struggles to open the prison gate as the clock finally runs out. They get defeated. The student council reveal they just fell for their long-term trap and now the gang prepares to get expelled. The student council immediately reports to the chairman what happened and encourage him to expel them at once. Chio joins and tries to reveal they set the boys up based on the document she saw earlier, but the others deny it. With no choice, the chairman makes a date to sign the expulsion papers by the end of the week. Back in prison, Shingo apologizes for being a bad friend, and everyone makes up. Kyoshi tells the boys that Chio told him the plan to get them expelled was called DTO. Shingo then remembers he's seen this document in the corrections office during his trips to meet the VP. If they can find this document, they might be able to prove they were set up, but assume all the evidence must have been destroyed. Gakuto, being a tech whiz, still thinks the hard drive contains the document hidden in the storage, and using his skills, he thinks he can find it in 10 minutes if he can gain access to the corrections office without being noticed. Realizing the VP is the only one with the keys to the room, they come up with a plan to lure her out. A few days later, the boys set up a fake arm wrestling contest, claiming Andre is the strongest person in the school, even stronger than the VP. Overhearing this, the VP busts in and shows off that she will show them who the strongest person really is, offering to fight Andre right now, but the others claim she needs to beat them first in an organized fashion, buying Gakuto some time. He swipes the keys from her jacket when she isn't looking and runs off, but the VP begins to beat all the boys too quickly, leaving Andre left to hold out another 7 minutes until Gakuto returns. Their fate rests in his hands. Alright, look, we know at this point the student council hate boys with a passion, we get it. However, we could have used their hate for our disgusting selves' benefit in order to mess them up by manipulating the emotions of the VP and keep her distracted for an extra 10 minutes. While the VP might be stronger than all of us, arm wrestling technique requires a ton of technique and body weight, which we have over the VP way more because we're dudes and she's a chick. For example, by putting our forward leg on the same side as our competing hand, hip close to the table, and using our full body to pull with our arm, keeping our core tight to maintain a minor boost in strength. With the technique down, I would have ordered all the boys, especially Andre, to move towards the end of the match. That they came just from doing something disgusting, like mentioning to the VP how we're sorry we forgot to wash our hands after going to the bathroom before we met her, announcing this right in the middle of the arm wrestling match with her, and she hates us. This would have disgusted her and pissed her off way more, which would have served as a good distraction to throw her off of her arm wrestling technique. In Andre's specific case, this would have allowed him to bring her arm way down towards his side in this example, gaining physical leverage by properly using his body weight, and this alone would have allowed him to comfortably hold his position for longer, while the VP would have struggled to beat him, giving all of us the edge to now control the speed of the match and better hold out for longer till Gakuto comes back. And while little tips like these might have been subtle, collectively would have slowed down and thrown the VP off just enough to give us the additional time that we need. But the VP noticed a single strand of nipple hair on him and throws her off, letting Andre put up a good fight. Annoyed, she calls him a fat pig, which gets him off even more, making him stronger until he finishes and then loses all of his strength, and then the VP crushes him and tells him it's over. And then she realizes, wait, her keys are missing. But Gakuto shows up right behind her again, claiming she dropped them, secretly pulling off the mission. After the boys think Gakuto's done it, but it reveals he was unable to find the document, and now they can't do anything. Their spirits finally break, and with only 2 days left, the VP delivers one of their last meals and takes their final meal orders. Gakuto, now losing his mind, asks for fried grasshoppers, while Kyoshi discovers a hidden note in his food from Chio, asking how he is and to let him know his status by leaving a piece of bread left on his plate. 2 days later, after the final meal arrives, Kyoshi gets another secret note, while Gakuto eats his friend's grasshoppers, adding some vomit juice to it. Nice, that's gross. But all of this nastiness snaps him back to his sanity, allowing him to come up with one final plan, but it needs more time. Desperate, Kyoshi decides to write a note to the chairman, telling him the student council set them up, which should buy them a few days while he investigates. The VP returns and asks them to fill out these withdrawal papers for the chairman to co-sign, but they ask if she can deliver this harmless note to the chairman. Reluctantly agreeing, she takes it with her, but on the day of their expulsion, they find out she ripped it up, destroying their last plan. She tells them she knows what they're up to and it's all over, taking them to meet up with the student council president one last time, but that's when they accidentally bump into the chairman, shocking the student council. He says he wants to talk to the boys in private because he received the note. Heading back to prison, Kyoshi quickly reveals to his friends that the ripped up note was a dummy. He put the real note hidden within his withdrawal papers, knowing the chairman would see them, since he chose to blackmail him and his nudie collection he saw him with weeks earlier. Not wanting to reveal his dirty secret, the chairman agrees to hear them out. Meanwhile, outside, Hana, with her memory of what Kyoshi did, now back thanks to her cooking mushrooms one time, suddenly rushes to the prison to kill Kyoshi and gets stopped by the VP, who knocks her out with her 30-inch thighs while she tries to overhear what the chairman is telling the boys. Kyoshi tells the chairman the girls set them up and he wants to prove it, but the chairman tests them by asking if they're a butt man or a boob man. Thinking quick, Kyoshi remembers the chairman reading material about butts and says what he wants to hear, but he isn't convinced, and asks Kyoshi why he likes butts over boobs, because no man that likes butts can be a bad dude, forcing Kyoshi to overthink the shit out of this. He starts comparing butts to the first humans and the meaning of life, and goes on this really big big long rabbit hole, but finally he convinces the chairman. He tells Kyoshi he's proud of them and postpones the expulsion by 1 day, the most he can give him, giving the boys one last chance. The student council then gets informed of this and set up security for the final night. The president thinks the boys have now figured out the VP's tactics and asks Hana to watch over them for the final night, while the boys plan to distract the VP with her love for competition while unlocking the corrections front office door, using Chio to sneak in. Kyoshi then receives a note from Chio telling him the plan is ready and he prepares to send her one back in their dinner. But that's when Hana shows up with their food, shocking the boys it's not the VP. They realize unlike the VP, they can't predict Hana's behaviors. He reveals to the group that he could use her grudge of him to their advantage and confesses what's been really going on between them. Outside, Chio takes their trays and Kyoshi's note about confirming tonight's plan, and she gets discovered by Shingo's crush, who tells him she feels bad for betraying the boys and now wants to help, making Chio come up with a crazy plan. Later that night, the boys begin their plan. Gakuto asks Kyoshi to stab him, bleeding out as an excuse, calling Hana. They expect her to take him to the corrections office for medical aid, but she tells them to suck it up while they remain locked up. Thinking fast, Gakuto whines out loud about Kyoshi and Hana's connection, which seems interesting, luring Hana back in. She takes these two to get medical aid, but she tells Kyoshi she wants a word with him after. Taking him back to the corrections office, she takes out some scissors and says he will pay. Cutting this water bottle in half, she asks him for pee. Thinking of a plan, he quickly figures out how to unlock the front door behind Hana. Taking off his pants, Chio gets shocked. He's so open about this. And he realizes she wasn't used to seeing boys naked. Asserting dominance, he corners her and asks her to hold the bottle while he pees in it, eyeing the door lock behind her. Hana suddenly counters by getting naked as well and says she will pee on him too, so there. Taking back control, shocking Kyoshi. With no choice, they both approach each other naked, but Kyoshi is to unlock the front door just before getting knocked down. Catching a glimpse of her Medusa, he tries to look away before his onigiri turns to stone, but it's too late. Now excited, he can't pee, which makes Hana mad because of his disgustingness, and she slaps him, just as the vice president alerts everyone that she's caught an intruder outside the prison, thinking the boys have been caught scheming. But Kyoshi hears the intruder's voice, and it's not Chio, but Shingo's lady. The VP asks Hana to open the door to let her in. Embarrassed at what this could look like, she tells the VP to head back in case this is part of the boys' plan, locking the front door again. As Chio, still hiding outside, continues to make her way through the courtyard, now without any security. With the front door unlocked, Hana collapses in sadness, saying she feels embarrassed at her bad luck lately. Making Kyoshi feel bad, she then lunges on him and kisses him, saying she knows he likes the president's little sister and will now rob him of his first kiss and virginity to get a revenge instead, preparing to ruin him while Chio waits for the signal. Okay, if I was Kyoshi, I would approach this way more methodically. Look, she's our boss basically. Trying to outshine her means she could have retaliated and harmed us in more unpredictable ways that we could not have accounted for. Instead, I would have made her dependent on me by threatening her if she beats us up. We wouldn't be able to give her what she wants, our golden shower. And this is because of something known as parasympathetic system, which is a network of nerves in the body responsible for controlling bodily functions, like our bathroom habits. When in danger, stressed, or in pain, the parasympathetic nervous system shuts off and the sympathetic nervous system takes over, also known as a fight or flight response, and means if Hana beats us up, our sympathetic nervous system and would turn our butthole and other holes, making us unable to pee, which would keep us safe from harm, and would have allowed me to work on the second part of my plan, unlocking the front door by secretly taking advantage of Hana's peripheral vision. On average, someone's peripheral vision means they can look around about 75 degrees while keeping their head and eyes straight. This means her staring at us head on means she still would have been able to see our hand move towards the door handle, but I would have told her that I have paresis, which is also known as bladder syndrome, which means I need her to not look directly at me for me to pee. However, being a prisoner means it's unlikely she would have turned her back on us, but walking up to her face means I could have politely asked her if she could have turned her head slightly up, not staring at us directly, while still being able to see us in her peripheral vision, allowing her to keep watch over us while allowing us to pee without being directly stared at. This shift in head movement upwards by a few degrees means she wouldn't be able to see our left hand within the scope of her peripheral vision at all, but still would have been able to directly see us, making her think she could still see what we were up to, while we safely unlock the door without risking as much and getting as badly hurt in the process. Thinking quick, Kyoshi tries to outsmart Hana again and make out even harder, throwing her off guard and destroying her orally. Now defeated, she heads back with Kyoshi to his cell, knowing Chio is waiting right outside as she sneaks in. About to sleep, the other boys head to the restroom really quick. Hana texts the VP while she's interrogating Shingo's crush that the cell is clear. Not getting any information out of this one, the VP thinks she might not know anything. They go to check out the prison themselves one last time, but find nothing out of place, and they have a strange feeling. The day of the boys' expulsion arrives and they head to the chairman's office, but that's when they reveal they actually won. The VP suddenly notices that Gakuto is actually Joe, since he hasn't taken off his glasses since last night, and Joe is actually Chio. The real Gakuto finally shows up and says Chio snuck in last night through the door from the corrections office, and they all swapped uniforms in the bathroom before bed, while Gakuto hid in the corrections office room, gathering the erased data files. When the coast was clear, he has the chairman the thumb drive containing the incriminating evidence, proving that the student council is evil. Meanwhile, Hana's memories suddenly come back that Kyoshi outsmarted her once again. Losing control, she goes apeshit, but the president stops her, saying it wasn't their fault and she is the one to blame. The boys finally go free, but after, some shady schoolgirls here convince the chairman that what the president and her team did was crazy, forcing him to send all 3 of them to prison themselves, while the boys live out their cute dreams and, weird ones too. But what do you guys think about the video? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a thumbs up down below. And as always, don't forget to check out our How to Be playlist.